Right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Speak Up Sal. And today, we're talking about something super important, something that I feel like I have shown a lot of growth in the past few years, and it's relationship with self. And just like the previous episode, I did my research, took some notes, and just have something I'd like to read. And, we'll talk a little bit. Then I got a second part that I'd like to read, a little research I did, information that I feel like would be helpful for everybody. So, today's episode is on relationship with self and loving yourself. And that is something that a lot of people today in society struggle with. And that's okay. We're not taught how to love ourselves or how to have a relationship with ourselves. We're actually more so taught how to maintain relationships with other people. I think it's time to switch the narrative a little bit and start to love yourself first. Okay, so that's my little take on this. Two little quotes that I have that I tell people that I talk to a lot and just have them here off the top of my head is, I wrote them down, but they came from my mind, obviously. So the longest lasting relationship in your life will always be with yourself. And that's a powerful one because you are with yourself from birth to death. And there's no one else in your life that will be here for that amount of time. Okay, the full 100% span of your life, you're the only one that will be with you forever. So that's a big take out of this. And the second one is, you hear a lot of people say this, and I'm sure you could find a million quotes on it, but basically summarized as, you must love yourself before you can love someone else with your full potential. You must love yourself before you can love someone else to your full potential. Felt like I needed to read that a second time. Didn't say it well at the first. So anyway, here's what I have written down. I'll stop about halfway through, or anytime I need to, make points or something else personal I want to touch on, and let's get right into it. See how it goes today. Hopefully everything looks and sounds well. I've noticed that I have a little bit more trouble recording during the day. The apartment walls and the floors are a little thin. I hear the steps, I hear the doors opening and everything, and Lola freaks out. She's right next to me again today. I don't know if you hear puffing and puffing, but she's here. Hopefully she'll stay here and not bark. Thank you, Lola. Appreciate it. And also, the one thing I noticed, since I sit by a window, I kind of have to change my camera angle. I don't obviously have a super permanent or super stable setup, so everything's going to be a little bit different every time. It's going to be a learning curve until I can get in a position where I have, said defined setup. People will come to me to do the podcast, you know what I mean? So that's the goal for today. Also, fighting a sneeze again, so please bear with me. I don't want to have to edit a sneeze out. All right. Having a healthy relationship with yourself is of utmost importance, as it forms the foundation of your overall well-being, your individual personality, and creates success in many aspects in your life. This involves a deep dive into your mind, body, and soul so that you can develop and fulfill your self-acceptance, so that you can develop and fulfill your needs of self-acceptance, self-awareness, and self-care. When you have a healthy relationship with yourself, you develop a deep understanding of your values, beliefs, strengths, weaknesses, and desires. This level of self-awareness helps you make better decisions and set meaningful goals that align your actions with your authentic self. Having a relationship with yourself will foster emotional well-being in your everyday life. This entails honoring your emotions, being compassionate towards yourself, and practicing loving and caring for yourself. A great start for learning to love yourself and building a healthy relationship with your mind, body, and soul is focusing on personal growth and setting boundaries in your day-to-day life. Learning to identify and communicate your needs and desires with people in your life is a step in the right direction for advocating the love and affection you deserve. Doing so while focusing on personal growth is a recipe for happiness and success. Actively seek opportunities to listen, learn, and expand your knowledge and skills in order to live a more fulfilling life. If your goal is to work towards being the best version of yourself each and every day, you are on the path to enlightenment, emotional well-being, and loving yourself first. So as I was writing this morning, I ran across this when just reading and trying to fill my mind with positive things. It's a quote from Buddha that says, "You yourself, as much as anybody in this universe, deserves your love and affection." So knowing your self-worth is a big aspect of it, because if you do not feel like you are worth this love and care that you truly are, you won't receive it. Like, that's the thought you're putting into this world, and you will not get the the opposite results out of it. You know, you have to know that you are deserving of love. You have to know that you are deserving of care and equal treatment and respect from the people in your lives that you give them. A Montessori quote that I wish I wrote this down, just came to me now, is when I was like growing up, I was raised on this quote, is to treat other people how you want to be treated. And, you know, now as an adult, I can kind of realize that applies to how you treat yourself too. You know, if you tell yourself, oh, I'm a loser, or I'm not going to have all this, I'm never going to, you know, have a happy life, happy wife, or success, whatever it is, that's going to be the case. And the power of that language is much stronger than is, you know, taught in education today. So that being said, let me ground myself here for a second and figure out what I want to say next. So yeah, the self-worth and self-acceptance is a big part of it. And then I believe the next steps that follow that, once you get there, is self-care and self-awareness, you know. So taking care of yourself physically and mentally and emotionally, all those things, is very, very important in your day-to-day life. And if you do those things, you're going to find that living to your truest potential and being the best version of yourself is going to produce a lot better results in your everyday life, no matter what it is. You know, it'll help you do better at your job if you're the best version of yourself, but it'll also help you feel better in your day-to-day life emotionally, and will help you in your relationships of all kinds, you know, with family, friends, significant others, whatever that may be. So this led me to, I found this quote that I told you already. I told you all already. You yourself, as much as anybody in this universe, deserves your love and affection. That's the key part there. So obviously you deserve to be loved by other people, but you also deserve to love yourself. And that's not something that is stressed enough in today's society and in today's education. You know, a lot of self-image problems and self-worth problems, I believe, stem from the environment you're in your early ages, in your early education, in your youth, in your young adulthood. You know, that's what kind of creates these insecurities and doubt about how much you are worth as an individual. And I wish it was stressed more. I wish, or I hope, that this reaches a younger audience so that they can figure out how to deal with this situation earlier than I did. You know, the earlier you can figure this out, the better life you're going to live. I hear someone walking in the hallway, and I'm getting a little worried Lola's going to bark. You being a good girl? She's doing the outro today. I'll chase her down in this house, little apartment, make sure she does the outro with me. So that'll be fun. So back on track here. Let me get a sip of my coffee. Kirkland brand sparkling water. I'm not sponsored by anybody in any way, shape, or form. But if that was a sponsor I had, I'd be cool with that. That stuff is so good. You get 35 cans for $13 at Costco. Whatever. Anyway, sorry. I could do an episode just on things that I like at Costco. That would be a good one. That'd be a good parenting episode. Do a podcast episode as I walk the aisles of Costco with Saria, that massive shopping cart. Pretty sure it could hold my laptop. Formulating new ideas and goals. Live on the pod. All right. Let's get back to it. So that Buddhist quote kind of led me to dive into how the Buddhist religion would deal with loving oneself and self-care and compassion and all those things. And what I found is fairly interesting. So I wrote a little bit about it, and then I found this great source with some bullet points and gave me pretty brief answers that I feel would be important to share. So Buddhism has a different take on self-love that is incredibly intuitive and beneficial in anyone's everyday life. Some of the key points that come from the Buddhist perspective are as follows: selflessness, loving kindness, which is known as metta, compassion, which is known as karuna, non-attachment, mindfulness, self-awareness, and cultivation of virtuous qualities. I think that one was very well worded, and when I get to it, has a lot of very good points in it that could be helpful in everybody's lives. These qualities encourage individuals to let go of the illusion of separate self and practice these everyday traits in order to live a fulfilled life with the aspiration of loving yourself first. So that's what I gained from my readings and my research today. That's how I felt about what I had learned, and I found it all very helpful. And I have a couple bullet points here about each of those little things I talked about. So let's talk about selflessness first. That's a very important one. If you if you make life about yourself, if you're selfish, you're not going to get your full potential results out of life. If you know when to put other needs before yours, those actions and emotions will be reciprocated. Is the best way I can put it. But in terms of selflessness, Buddhism teaches that the idea of permanent and separate self is an illusion. The concept of self or ego is considered as a source of suffering and attachment. Instead, Buddhism encourages individuals to recognize the interdependence of all things and cultivating a sense of interconnectedness with all beings. Very, very powerful. I very much enjoy the part about interdependence because you never want to be codependent with anything in your life or anyone. You don't want to have to rely on your partner or your addictions, whether that's the coffee or nicotine or whatever it is. In your everyday life, you don't have to rely on that. That is codependent. Interdependent is all things work together. You're dependent individual, but as a community or as a relationship, you can be interdependent, which is the goal you want to have. And the part about cultivating a sense of interconnectedness with all beings, that part is very, very important because you have to be connected with yourself. You have to be connected with the space around you and your environment and your community as a whole. And then the universe we live in would be the largest scale of interconnectedness with all things. So the next one, they combine these two together, loving kindness and compassion, so metta and karuna, emphasizes the practice of metta and karuna towards all beings, including oneself. Cultivating compassion involves developing empathy, kindness, and the desire to alleviate suffering, both within oneself and others. By extending love and compassion to oneself, one can be better to extend it to others. So that kind of relates to the pretty generic quote I gave earlier of how you have to love yourself before you can love other people to your full potential. So that's a very, very interesting point, I believe. And it's very insightful. Now, the next one is a little interesting, and I wouldn't have expected this to be a trait to focus on, but as I read more of it, it's very clear, it's very apparent, is non-attachment. Buddhism teaches that attachment to desires, expectations, and self-identity leads to suffering. Practice non-attachment means letting go of clinging to fixed ideas, outcomes, and self-identifications. By recognizing the impermanence of all things, including oneself, one can cultivate a more balanced and accepting relationship with oneself. So, excuse me, fighting that sneeze. I know that Buddhism focuses a lot on the aspect of suffering and defining what suffering is. And it's interesting to see how many things in society today are pushed. You have to want that car. You have to post this on social media. You have to be this certain way, make this much money. And if you hold on to that to an unhealthy standard, you're definitely suffering emotionally as a person. So being able to let go of that, the image that you feel you need to have of yourself, because it's not permanent, like that just said, like it stated. Nothing in life is permanent, including your own life. So learning to accept that will allow you to develop a better relationship with yourself and in turn allow you to love others at a higher standard and to the best of your ability and being the best version of yourself. Yeah. This is the fourth point, is a lot of what my spiritual practice and my spiritual journey has been about, and it's mindfulness and self-awareness. Buddhism emphasizes the practice of mindfulness, which involves non-judgmental awareness of the present moment. By developing self-awareness through mindfulness, one can gain insight into the nature of one's thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. This understanding helps to cultivate self-acceptance and compassion. So the self-awareness is huge to me. I was always my whole life very bugged by people who could live life unaware and to, kind of be blinded by, well, not blinded. I should say they have their blinders, is what I want to say. That's a better word for it. That always really rubbed me the wrong way. And hearing that this states, which involves non-judgmental awareness of the present moment, is really powerful to me because, just being aware of what happens around you doesn't mean you have to say or do something, doesn't mean you have to fix it. You just have to take it in for what it is and learn from it and move on in your everyday life. That's more move on in terms of like the negative things that you witness or about how someone talks to you or treats you in a relationship that is not as healthy as it could be. So, yeah, I think that's something I'll be taking with me after this episode and hope to reflect on more in the future as well. And then we have one last one. This one was very, very interesting. I would like to read a little bit more about this, but I really wanted to get this done, really wanted to get recording and, speak my mind on this, give my piece. So cultivating virtuous qualities. I'm not going to lie to you. I had to look up how to say that second word. The U's and the O's together really threw me off, but it's virtuous. Buddhism encourages the development of virtuous qualities such as generosity, kindness, patience, and wisdom. By cultivating these qualities, individuals create a foundation of positive qualities within themselves, which leads to a greater self-acceptance and self-love. Yeah, so that's that kind of ties back to the Montessori teaching that I was talking about in the beginning of you have to treat other people how you want to be treated. And to me, if you hear that at a young age, that's all you can think. You're like, well, why would I want to be treated poorly? Why would I want to be rude to somebody? Because I don't want that to happen to me. So developing those virtuous qualities such as like compassion and generosity and kindness and understanding is huge. If you do not feel like you practice those in your everyday life, you probably don't treat yourself that way either. And that's not the path of loving yourself. That's not a way to live a life focusing on your relationship with yourself. That's actually quite the opposite. And yeah, I feel like I've tried my best to live a life of, compassion and generosity and kindness and treating other people how I want to be treated. And a hump that I feel like I had to get over is what happens when you give that out into the world and it is not reciprocated. You are not treated the same way. What I learned in like being raised religious is, to turn the other cheek. So I feel like I still kind of stand by that in the sense that, retaliating or acting up or starting to treat other people poorly because that's how you're being treated is never going to get you anywhere. It's just a never ending circle of negativity. So to be able to turn that other cheek or, be kind to the person that is rude to you, that's going to lead you on a path to success in terms of, your emotional awareness and your health in relationship with yourself and the ability to take care of yourself. So that's super, super important. I didn't do a card reading or anything, but as soon as I started diving into this topic, it made me think of a card that I've drawn quite a bit. Would it be rude for me to walk off camera? I don't really know how this works. So I'm going to make up my own rules. This box is right here, 2 feet away. Give me a second. Okay. All right, so we're back to this deck again, Shaman's Dream Oracle. Absolutely love this one. And the card is Beloved. Let me, for those of you listening, sorry, you're not going to be able to see this, but for those of you watching, let me grab this for you so you can get a visual of it. What this looks like, just looking for a number 2 in here. Then maybe I'll do one live as well. I say live, but you know what I mean. I guess I say live because I'm used to streaming on Twitch so much. So, there's that. Okay. So a point that this card, excuse me, my apologies. A point that this card brings up that is beneficial to this topic is radical acceptance. So that's be the answer to combating, well, what happens when I'm nice and I'm loving and I'm not treated the same way? Like what I'm putting into this world isn't being reciprocated. So radical acceptance is probably going to be your answer to that. Um, like I shouldn't say it that way because I don't want you to think that there's one answer. A lot of this stuff is all very open-minded and open-ended, and you got to interpret and apply it to your life how you will. But for me, this really did it. This was absolutely the help I was looking for. So card number 2, beloved. Okay. It's the card after the cleaning house card, or the tidy house card. So there you go. It's almost the shape of a heart in flames. Is what it looks like to me. Beloved. So, love, heart, a lot of symbolism there. So let me get to it. Let me read this for you. So, beloved, here we go. The object of affection. Oh, hope that focuses in. The object of affection, radical acceptance, and loving what is. Excuse me. Holy cow. When the beloved appears, it requires 100% of your heart, body, and soul. Don't try to squeeze the beloved into your schedule. Drop the busyness and receive the one you have been waiting for. Now that this card comes as a mirror to show you the divine within and invite your radical acceptance of everything you consider beautiful or ugly in your being. The beloved may not be a person at all. It might be a business venture, a project, or an adventure calling for your full attention. Love it, let it light you up, and give it your all. Surrender to this truth and know that you are gaining a passport to bliss, even when it feels that you are being consumed by the fire of the beloved. Do not hold back or be afraid, for you will emerge transformed. Surrender is the key. Allow yourself to be loved. Usher the harsh critic out the door and shut your eyes and ears to the judgment of others who have not been ignited by the divine blaze consuming you. For they will only attempt to douse your fire and leave you choking on the smoke. Be careful you are not seduced by false promises or falling prey to your extraordinary ability to sabotage your dreams and desires. Sink with and sink into your heart and trust your sense of what is true, and you will know what to do. The beloved is never false. Every gift pre-offered is valuable. Recognize the many faces of your beloved and welcome them into your heart, and you will be so glad you did. Yeah, that's a good one. I used to get this card a decent amount. There was like a season or two where every couple times I did one of these readings, and I was doing them a lot for quite a while, I would get this card. Radical acceptance really helped me, get over that hump in life where I was holding on to things that were only negative. So the part of this that really, really hits for me is it's right up here. Surrender is the key. Allow yourself to be loved. A lot of people tend to fight the truth. They want that car, they want the money, or they want that image so bad that they're fighting who they really are. They're putting on that mask, so that they can chase after what they think they want, when in reality, what they need is a better relationship with themselves and the ability to love and accept themselves and care for themselves. So that's huge. That's very, very important to me. 24 minutes just about. Holy cow. That was easy. All right, this is getting better. I'm really happy with how this podcast is going. 24 minutes, very, very easy. Felt like 5 minutes of my time. So I really hope you all enjoy my take on loving yourself, and I hope that you can start to practice it as well. I don't want to end this episode just right here. Let me see if I can get anything else. Okay, so obviously with today's theme, we have some intention of what we want to gain from this, and I hope, all right, shoot. I hope that you are gaining from this as well. I've been really enjoying doing this podcast. I got that deep diver oracle card, and this is just all I want to do now. I feel like seeds have been planted for me to have a very happy and positive hobby, and maybe even eventually one day a career in my life. So very excited about all that. So I'm going to stop here and just take the top. Wow. These always correlate. So remember in card I just read to you, number 2, Beloved, it says, surrender is the key. And then I grab card 48, Sky Dancers, and it says, surrender. Clearly, that is the path to be on if you want to focus on self-love. So let me get to this card. I'll read this, and then I'll let you guys go. We'll get going for the day. Maybe I'll try and get another one done before I have to go to work at 4, and we'll go from there. So, Sky Dancers, liberation from attachment, surrender. When a Sky Dancer appears, she is inviting you to welcome the deepest power of the feminine into your life. You have already overanalyzed your situation to exhaustion. Now is the time to invite the sacred feminine, the wisdom within your heart, no matter your gender, to guide you to success. If you have become earthbound, plotting and planning and praying for change, cease and desist. Break the habit of being yourself, of repeating the same behavior and hoping for a different outcome. Stop trying to figure it all out and stop overthinking it. Surrender. The Sky Dancers are heralding the arrival of a new relationship with yourself, in your work or in your love life. Do not assume that this person or opportunity will rescue you. The only way to liberation is to kiss the ground goodbye and take flight, to rise above the fray and the drama of struggling, arguing mind, dancing in the sky and view the madness below by simply witnessing the actors and the human comedy unfolding on the ground. You are transforming it. As you observe the drama, you unleash the power of the sacred feminine that allows for resolution. The Sky Dancers know the maps of the heavens and the way that the holiest and most sacred spaces on earth. They come to help you with your current life and, even more important, to guide you to the realization of your own divinity. Never any coincidences in life. Nothing just happens by chance. That card was on top for a reason. So I hope you remember to surrender and to love yourself. Surrender to the negativity. No. Surrender your need to hold on to the negativity and false image of yourself. That's better. Okay, and focus on loving yourself and caring for yourself from here on out. And you're going to be on that path to success. This is a long journey as well. Nothing will ever be solved in one day. And there's no finite answer for all of our problems. But keep going in the right direction and we keep asking questions. We're going to be good. We're going to be all good. I wasn't feeling too good this morning either, and this really helped a lot. And that card really was the cherry on top, if you will. So thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Speak Up Sal. I really hope you enjoyed this one. And till next time, see ya.